Boa tarde a todos e a todas. Estamos aqui nessa tarde, mais uma vez, conectados.
So now, let's start our afternoon. Well, I don't know if you were all here with us yesterday. We had such a great afternoon. So for those who couldn't follow us yesterday, we have actually a video that's like a flashback, a retrospective. Wow, that was very nice. I think we were able to feel a little bit or have a little taste of yesterday's afternoon. So we had so many nice inputs. So for those who wish to follow the whole video, it's already there available on the YouTube channel, the channel of the Focolare movement in Brazil. So you can just access there and click on the videos so you can see the video in a few translations. It's already in Spanish, in Italian, and Portuguese. So yesterday we had already the chance to see all the different vocations that are involved in this meeting. That's right, Arthur. We were also able to share in all those experiences. It was such good energy from all those people that were involved with us. And such concrete experiences were presented. So it's really an answer to the world that is thirsty for this unity. We had some very nice dynamics too, and cultural videos. They were so good. And songs, also to break that ice. So we had all of those nice things. And Arthur, let's not forget that we had so many special participants. So for example, for me, what was very special and struck me was the moment with Bishop João de Avis, when he was talking about this choice of God, that the choice of God must be the first one that we make, and therefore that everything follows from this choice of God. Yeah, that was very nice. And for me, it was very good to listen to Father Fabio Ciardi, that what is expected of us, like the world expects of us, that we just be ourselves. The world is awaiting this authenticity from us. So everything was so good beyond those dynamic things, and besides all of that, like the creativity, like that pizza that was made, that was incredible. Now we would like to call on another few people that will be talking to us. So we're passing the ball to another couple of people that will be opening our Congress this afternoon, this Jubilee that is so much awaited. So we are calling Father Donato and Sister Francisca, who will be with us this afternoon.
Então, bom jubileu a todos.
Dear friends, good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon and welcome to this international meeting of consecrated young people connected into the one light. Dear friends, good evening and very welcome to this international meeting of the consecrated young people connected into the one light.
Chers amis, bonsoir et bienvenue à cette rencontre internationale de jeunes consacrés connectés en seule lumière.
Dear friends, good evening and welcome to this international meeting of young men and women religious connected in one light.
Queridos amigos, buenas tardes y bienvenidos a este encuentro internacional de jóvenes consagrados conectados en una sola luz.
So it's true that it is an international gathering with so many languages. So now we are going to speak in Italian.
Sono Padre Donato.
So I am Father Donato, I'm a Camillian religious. My order, the Ministers of the Sick, has the charism of witnessing Christ's merciful love for the sick. I work and I live in Rome, in the Vatican, in the Congregation for Consecrated Life. I got to know the experience of the religious friends of the Focolare movement in the summer of 1974. I was 19 years old then. I was at the Camillian Seminary, but I had actually decided to leave. My dream was to be a scientist and to get married. At that meeting, though, together with the young people from the Focolare movement, I discovered that God really loved me, and in order to respond to this love, I decided to give my own life to Him and renounce my own dreams. Since that day, I haven't left that group that wanted to experience communion between the different orders and congregations. As we will see shortly in a video, the religious and consecrated people have been present since the beginning of the history of the Focolare movement in the 40s. A little later, towards the end of the 60s, at the meeting of the religious, the adult religious, there were also the participation of young religious people. They were attracted by the life of those brothers and sisters there. So, in the beginning of the 70s, a group of young religious was present at the World Youth Congress. That was the GEN Congress. It was the meeting of the young people of the Focolare movement. So, attracted by their life, they wrote to the founder, Chiara Lubich, saying that they also wanted to live this spirituality of unity. As consecrated, of course, as children of the different founders. Thus, the movement of young religious was born under the name of Gen Re, that is, the new generation of religious. In those years, I remember, the meetings were held together, young religious and adults. Then in the 80s, groups of young religious who lived the spirituality of unity spread throughout the continents. And thus, Chiara recognized Gen Re as a distinct section of religious from the religious adults, even if they always continued to accompany the young ones, of course. but it was a different section within the movement. What attracted us to this experience then? Meeting young people from other religious families allowed us to know the various charisms that flourished throughout the centuries in the Church. And this led us to get to know our own founder better. Meeting the young people from other religions and religious families gave us it helped us to get to know our own charism and our own founders, because they helped us to experience the presence of the risen Jesus according to his promise, where two or more, where they are united in my name, there I am in the midst of them. So this gave us a tremendous joy and made us enthusiastic about our own vocation. It challenged us to return to the community so as to love our colleagues, superiors, and everyone even more. I remember that sometimes my own companions did not understand me and maybe criticized me, or the superiors didn't give permission to go to the meetings. So I remember that I obeyed, making sure that this experience was a beautiful thing, because it helped me to be faithful to the chameleon vocation. And in recent years, so many ecclesial documents have also asked us to live this communion among the members of the different institutes. Also, Pope Francis, in his letter at the beginning of the year of the consecrated life in 2014, encouraged these meetings between young people from different institutes as a path of communion, he says. This communion together makes a path of communion and mutual support and unity.
Grazie, Padre Donato. Io sono Sor Francesca, consacrata.
Thank you very much, Father Donato. I am Sister Francisca, consecrated of the Sisters, Daughters of Saint Eusebio de Vercelli, a congregation born in 1899 with Father Dario Bonetti and Sister Eusebia Rigoni. The charism is the compassion that leads to reveal the greatness, the tenderness of God's heart to the poorest. I'm living in Milan at the moment, and I work in a parish, in particular with teenagers and young people. I met the young religious linked to the Focolari movement a few years after Father Donato, exactly in 2014 in Loppiano, at a meeting of consecrated and religious young people, which had the title, Yes, We Choose the Gospel. There were more than 100 among the male and female congregations. This encounter left me with a deep, indelible presence that attracted me. I liked the way of being together and living in communion between different charisms. I must say that in the beginning not everything was clear, but the attractive force for living like them prevailed. In the years that followed, I had the grace to be able to deepen this experience by taking part in other meetings and discovering how the charism of unity of Chiara Lubich expresses in Jesus' words, may they all be one, gives all the other charism the word unity, with capital U. We consecrated and religious who already have a charism can live the word unity in communion between the different charisms, learning to love the charism of the other as our own, and thus establishing relationships of esteem and mutual love between all. Over time, this life reinforces my charismatic identity. It doesn't contradict it, but on the contrary, it illuminates it, and it makes me more a daughter of my founder, because it adds nothing but clarifies and enlivens what already exists. Sometimes someone comes to me and says, "But you already have a spirituality that of your congregation. Isn't that enough for you? Do you need to find another one?" For us, it's not a matter of seeking another spirituality, but of accepting with simplicity and gratitude a gift that God offers to the whole church and to humanity, sending through Chiara a charism that, in our time, helps to bring about that unity that Jesus asked for all his followers. As we seek Santa Teresa of Avila so as to learn to pray, we look for Saint Francis and Saint Clare to be able to learn to live poverty, and we look to Saint John Bosco so as to learn how to be with young people. We look to Saint Ignatius of Loyola so as to learn to do the exercises. We look to Saint Therese of Calcutta so as to learn how to welcome and serve the poor. So this charism, given by the Holy Spirit to Chiara Lubick, helps us to carry out among ourselves and with everyone the prayer that Jesus, before his death, addressed to the Father: "May they all be one." The reality of the genre, the new generation of religious, started at the same time with the reality of young religious men, but different. Chiara Lubick's first meeting with the genre was, in fact, in 1973. From the year 2000 and the meeting in 2014, then the meetings between the female and the male religious, they were held together. It's a new part of the story, of that one story that unites so many generations of consecrated and religious people willing to live the "May they all be one." And now I'm going to leave you with the video that will show you a little bit of the history of the genre movement.
Buona visione.
To look at all the flowers is to have the vision of Jesus who, besides being the head of the mystical body, is everything, the light, the word, while from his body we are joined words. In the dazzling garden of the church, all virtues flourished and flourished. The founders of the orders are that virtue transformed into life and ascended to heaven, transfigured by so much love and pain as the Word of God. Since the beginning of the history of the Focolare movement, the religious were always present, particularly in Trent the Capuchins, Father Casimiro Bonetti and Bonaventura. They call Chiara Lubick to collaborate as animator of a group from a secular Franciscan Third Order. From 1947 onwards, Chiara met the young religious from the College of Assisi, from various international schools in Rome, and donates the ideal to them. There were often difficulties for consecrated young people to participate in meetings. Then Chiara writes to them, "This, your apparent distance from the brothers and sisters who struggle and live and suffer for the ideal itself outside the college, isn't it perhaps a small abandoned Jesus, a countenance of his? So it's only by the strength of your heart to embrace Jesus forsaken, a whole wound in the body and a whole darkness in the soul, that you will form unity. Here is the secret of Jesus' greatest and last dream. May they all be one." And together, sharing in this infinite pain, we will effectively contribute to the unity of all brothers and sisters. In the summer of 1967, 25 religious met in Trent, and from there, a new reality was born in the movement, the religious and consecrated people. On the 4th of April 1968, Chiara speaks of this meeting. Your unity should not be an organized thing. It must be organized by the love and light of God, to the point of being living contemplation. The organizational side shouldn't really appear that much. On the contrary, it must be almost non-existent. So, as the first essential point, what should the religious have? They should have a spirituality. The religious are united by the spirituality. The abandoned Jesus is a point of asceticism that, if lived, contains all the other ascetics that existed and will exist in the Church. It will bear Jesus much fruit. These religious will appear in all the orders of all the words of God put into practice, but with a particular condenser, which is precisely the charism of the work of Mary. From this meeting in the early 1970s, a group of young religious people participated in the movement's World Youth Congress, the GEN. Attracted by their lives and wishing to live the spirituality of unity as children of their own founders. So in this wish of theirs, the new generation of religious was born, the Gen Re. From then on, Father Novo, a minor Franciscan, coordinates activities aimed at religious and consecrated adults and young people in the movement. To sustain this life worldwide, several initiatives began to emerge, among them the Gen Re magazine, which later became Unity and Charisms, and which today is a magazine called Ecclesia. In a famous meeting with Chiara of consecrated girls in April 1973, Chiara says, "Courage. There is nothing you lack so that you can accomplish this. Just love the abandoned Jesus and have Jesus in the midst with all the work. Our Lady, I am sure, loves to see her church renewed, especially by the religious women." In 1987, at a special meeting, only for consecrated young people, Chiara distinguishes it as its own reality in the movement. 2 years later, the first International Congress of Young Consecrated takes place with the title, Unity, a Sign of Times. More than 300 different nationalities take part in that meeting. The novelty of the charism of Chiara arrived in Brazil in 1959. The meetings begin, activities, the Mariápolis. Religious and consecrated youth participate in these activities. They begin to spread this new life from north to south of the country. Capuchins, Pime, Redemptorists, Messengers of the Divine Love, Franciscans, and so many other religious families, as well as members of the new communities and forms of consecrated life, feel renewed in their own spirituality, and in that reciprocity of charisms, loving the charism of the other as if they were their own, they find this new strength. In the 80s, the Holy Spirit explodes with new life. New charisms are born from this spirituality of communion, mainly focused on social areas, such as the Fazenda of Esperança with Frei Hans and Nelson for chemical dependence, and ANSPAS with Father José Someti, consecrated Marinita for the care of children, teenagers, and drug addicts, the Mercy Alliance with Father Antonello and João Henrique, and so many others, communities that continue to be born from the fruitful charism of Chiara. There are many who have found and find in the life of reciprocal communion a rediscovery of being in church, of being a single family. with their consecrated lives donated for the cause of the gospel in their communities, for the mission, and so many of them are already in paradise. Today, all over the world, we are here to collaborate with Jesus' dream. May they all be one, so that the world may believe that you sent me. And so we build the united world together.
É muito bom estarmos nesta tarde, nessa grande conexão, unidos e unidas numa
It's just so good to be together in this great connection, to be united and connected into the one light, in this great big family of Chiara, who left us this fantastic charism, whereby we can love the charism of the other as our own. So in this great connection, Arthur, I wanted to tell you that today we have so many people following us. They are from São Paulo, Bauru. She's saying a few places there.
Concórdia, Argentina, São José do Rio Pardo, Termas de Ibirá, João Pessoa, Petrolina, Caraguatatuba. É gente que não...
There's so many people. It's great, and this It's a great big family.
Também tem gente de Vitória, Espírito Santo, da Mariápolis Glória, do Paraguai, de Salvador, de Fortaleza. Tem gente lá da comunidade católica Arca de Aliança, leigos,
from the Alliance Arch, lay people that are also following, and a few lay consecrated people also following this moment. They are all giving light to this moment here in our meeting. In the opening of our Jubilee, the Jubilee of the Gen Re. So I am going to introduce myself finally. My name is Franceli. I am from Itu in the state of São Paulo. I am currently living in Vacaria, Rio Grande do Sul, in the south of Brazil. I am a novice of the second year. I have just finished my canonic year, so I am in the congregation of the Sisters of Saint Joseph of Chambéry, a congregation that was born in France. So at the moment, I am part of the coordinating committee of the Gen Re, together with Ellen, Felipe, and Brother Joel. And besides us, there are other young people that we are managing to bring together with us little by little in this connection of light to appreciate this great charism. So I'm going to call Arthur again. Are you there?
Estou aqui, sim.
Yes, here I am. Would you like to tell a little bit about yourself? Yeah, for me it's a great joy too to be here with you this afternoon. It's a great honor to be here beside Franceli, to be here this afternoon together with you. As you asked me, I can introduce myself. My name is Arthur. I'm from Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, in the northeast part of Brazil, in the coastal side of it. I am a young person of the movement, of the Focolare movement. I'm a Gen 2. And I also look after the parish movement, the reality of the young people in the parish movement within the Focolare. What else have we got now, Franceli? In this connection of light, we are all connected, I'm sure, and we will continue like that. We're continuing with our presentations. We are going to call two great motivators of the consecrated life. They are so dear to us, Sister Maria Inês and Father Dionísio Zamuner. So both of them are collaborators together with the young generations of religious people. So they are also responsible at a national level. They are responsible of the religious consecrated people within the Focolare movement. So the word is with you. Greetings, Sister Maria Inês and Father Dionísio. I think we can also introduce them a little bit. We have here the curriculum of Sister Maria Inês. She is consecrated of the Messengers of Christ's Love. She has a long experience and engagement in different parishes. She has been a missionary in Africa also. She has had a long life in the CRB, which is the Congregation of the Religious Brazilian People. It's like the CNBB, but it's just for religious people, you know. It's like a big umbrella which takes all the different institutions in Brazil. And there, besides that, she has also been the president of the General Superiors of Brazilian congregations from 1994 to 1997. Then from 2009 to 2012, she has been also looking after that part. And then recently, from 2014, she is the president of the National CRB, Congregation for Brazilian Religious.
Nossa, mas não precisava essa ficha tão comprida, Arthur.
Wow, you didn't need to do all that curriculum there, but thank you very much. I think one of the most beautiful things was to have met the ideal, which gave me a special strength to live the charism of my congregation, to love always more my own congregation, and to welcome everyone. So in my experience here in CRB, I feel that I can now realize how much this reality of loving everyone, how much this reality has entered into my life. So here in our registry, we have 472 congregations that are registered with us. Some of them mightn't be registered with us because it's an option they have. It's in inverted commas, it's like a syndicate, you see, so people might adhere to this idea or not to participate in our programs, formation, etc. So I'm very grateful to God because I feel and I am a daughter of Chiara who helps me to love my charism and all the charisms in the church. So maybe Father Dionísio would like to say something too. And then we will present Chiara's video, isn't that right? That's right. That's it, sister. So I'm going to introduce Father Dionísio as well. I have his curriculum here. So Father Dionísio is a missionary, Redemptorist missionary. His missionary experience was mainly... Okay, he's just saying I missed the name of the country, but in Africa he was as well, in Suriname as well. And he's part of the missionary team that works for the Redemptorist missionaries. So here you are, and the word is with you, Father Dionísio.
Que bom, que alegria.
What a joy, Arthur and Franceli, to be here with you all in this moment. What a wonderful thing. It's a gift. It's a big grace that God is giving to us today. And I'm feeling so well. I feel very comfortable with you, with this youth, in this beautiful afternoon. So as we start the celebrations of the Jubilee, of the 50th of the Genré movement here in Brazil. So how great to be together, what a joy to be together, united, connected, and it's a special great, without a doubt, to build this reality of Jesus' presence amongst us. And we are connected with so many people, building this life of communion, of unity among us. Thank you very much, Father Dionísio, for this welcome. That's right, we are trying to animate the life of the religious in Brazil and for all those who adhere to the Focolare movement. So thank you very much, Arthur, for the welcome, Franceli, a young novice. So that's the way forward. Keep going. So Jesus is the only ideal, and embracing Jesus forsaken, embracing all the difficulties, but it's only growing, only going ahead, okay?
Tá bem? Podemos então dar continuidade agora. Então, nós daqui a pouco,
so in a short few moments, we are going to watch a short video of Chiara, and you will see someone that's very important at the time when they were very young. But just before we present this video of Chiara, we can present our short experience as well. As they said, my name is Maria Inês Ribeiro. I am from the province of the state of Minas Gerais. I'm in Brasilia since 2014. I am from the Sisters of the Messengers of the Divine Love. And I can see how much strength the ideal has given me to live my own charism, to irradiate divine love. In the pastorals, in human promotion, in retreats, I entered into the congregation and I made my consecration in 1969. Therefore, 50 years and 9 months ago, I consecrated myself to God. I met the movement still while I was in formation, but the spirituality has marked me in such a deep way, and it happened when I had already my permanent vows, when I had the grace to participate at a meeting that was actually for lay people, but it was such a huge grace. This contact with the movement, it was more or less 4 days that we spent together. I had noticed straight away that this spirituality would help me enormously to live my own charism. And after this time of consecrated life, I can confirm how this charism of life was really fundamental in living my consecration during this time. As I said, learning to love the whole church and all the institutes. The ideal really shows us how to be building unity and to be connected in the one light. We can perceive this reality that is global. Each aspect or each point of the spirituality, by the grace of God, reinforces all the points of my own spirituality, of my own congregation, my charism. It doesn't take away from my spirituality. On the contrary, it reinforces and deepens, and it brings me ahead. We live in a world that's marked by so many pains and sufferings, and currently due to the pandemic, there are so many other plagues that afflict our people, our humanity. Our church is also going through a difficult situation. We are continuously facing incomprehension, the lack of witness, the lack of unity. We can see our own leader, Pope Francis, being attacked even by people from the same church, and this is a huge suffering for us who are looking for unity. So the life of consecrated people may be characterized by a lack of enthusiasm and by difficulty amongst its members in the community. I was in Angola for a while, and besides the suffering in wartime there, we lived as a congregation a difficult moment of a relationship between us and the church there. So exactly in that moment when I was there with the strength of my own charism, that is called divine love, together with the strength I got from the charism of unity, I remembered the words of Jesus. Those who listen to you, listen to me. So we were able to welcome the decisions of our superiors. It was a moment of pain and suffering, but it was possible to give great, unimaginable steps forward in our missionary life and in the expansion of our charism. So today, our mission is already guided by the local sisters there. So the suffering embraced between us there at the time, that small group, that was the key for us to meet truth. And in each situation, in my mission here in the CRB, especially in moments of planning, decision-making, and also in the moments where we actually can't see the light, the word of Jesus resounds very strong, and it re-strengthens me. Where two or more are united in my name, there I am among them. So it's when I try to build unity, a strong unity with people, letting them express themselves, listening to them, and with that Jesus in the midst, that people don't even know the spirituality, but I do. So I know that many people are in communion with me. So this Jesus in the midst at a distance with people that know the spirituality, this is what strengthens me the most. And so Jesus amongst us produces or realizes, brings us forward. I could tell you many experiences like reunions or meetings that at the time it seemed that there were no solutions. But in embracing Jesus forsaken, in that meeting, in that reunion, we had in the end a happy conclusion. So with Jesus in our midst, it helps us, he helps us to find the best way forward. There's lots of experiences like this in my work in this conference here. In each of the sufferings and crosses of humanity, of the church and consecrated life of my own congregation, I learned, and I'm learning always, I'm learning to embrace Jesus, who on top of the cross embraced all sufferings and he won over everything. I learned and I'm learning every day that
que no alto da cruz abraçou todas as dores e venceu.
As much as I can assume all the sufferings of my own congregation and of the church, the more I have the grace of communion with Jesus. So I can remember a sentence from my own founder, who is already with God, who seeks Jesus without the cross, will find cross without Jesus. And this is terrible. To live the crosses in today's world without Jesus, without God, it must be terrible.
Viver as dores, as cruzes no mundo de hoje, sem fé, sem Deus, sem Jesus, é terrível.
The crucified Jesus is the key to union with the Father. It opens up the light that comes from the Holy Spirit. The secret of the Christian life, of the consecrated life, is to embrace Jesus in his suffering and abandonment, in his pains and sufferings, and the sufferings of the church, of our congregation, of the whole world. And so we will experience the light of the risen Jesus. Thank you very much.
Grazie.
Muito obrigado, irmã Marinês.
Thank you very much, Sister Marines. There were beautiful words. There's lots of commentaries there in the chat, in the Zoom. People are thanking you a lot. So first of all, we want to thank the presence of each one of you and this beautiful presentation of Sister Marines and her life given. There's another colleague here with me, and with so many others, we are building this moment of light and of grace. When we got to know the spirituality, it was for me in 1967, at the invitation of Father Francisco Peixoto, the director of a seminary at the time in Aparecida. So there were two consecrated lay people, two Focolari, and they came to talk to us. I can't actually remember exactly what they said, but I remember what they transmitted, the joy, the life of the Word, a new life. In the seminary, we used to have the prayers, Holy Mass, but it seemed that we didn't have that ardor, that enthusiasm that they had, their joy. They transmitted so much life to us. So I said, here there is something very special. And from then on, I got to know a little bit more of the spirituality. As a seminarian, I was able to take part in some meetings, but most of the time I wasn't able. It wasn't possible. But I also tried to live the Word in that, the Word that frees us. So the spirituality of communion, it's a special way of living the Word. First of all, we are supposed to welcome, live the Word, and then mainly try to share the life with others, to share what God makes in our lives through His Word. So I remember that we used to put our experiences in common for other religious people, for others, so that we could help each other to walk forward. So the spirituality sustained me in the seminary. We have that word from St. Luke that illuminates our charism. The Lord has sent me forward to the world to communicate the Word, and the Spirit of God is with me. So in daily life, we have people that need our help very close to us, like our elderly brothers that might need our help in our own community. So maybe it's the case to bring them their meal, or to help them to pray the Holy Mass, or to watch something interesting on television. So this life of communion, it's always a challenge for all of us, but it is the way that we build the unity, and it can't be something closed between us. It has to be together with humanity, with the work of Mary. So we have groups of religious people that also take part in this experience. We try to meet monthly. We put together in common what God is operating in our lives. And the great secret that I can see in this spirituality, it's to give the light of Jesus forsaken in the cross. What does that mean? It's to see behind every suffering, every difficulty, may it be personal or of humanities, for example, the pandemic. In front of this suffering, we can find a countenance, a presence of Jesus. And this presence requires of us a new gesture of service. It's a great light to be able to recognize Jesus' presence in the sufferings of humanity, so that we might have His presence amongst us, because He promised it. He promised that He would be there where two or more are united in His name. This is what matters the most. So I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart to all of you who try to live this life of unity, also in this moment, building this special moment, connected into the one light. And I wish we can walk always more together in this life of unity. Thank you very much.
Muito obrigado a todos.
Io sono Donato, Chiara.
I am Donato, Chiara. I was very happy to be at the General Superiors meeting the other day. I was accompanying Father Vendrami, maybe you know him. From what order? The Chameleons. Oh yes, I do remember him. It was a great joy for me to be at that meeting with you. So in answering Father Sorge's question, you said that the cross of the work of Mary at this moment is to take on the crosses of the Church. So Chiara, right now we, the Genere, would like to tell you this. Would you entrust to us one of your crosses or one of the crosses from the work of Mary? We say this because we would like to carry it along with you. Just so we could make an act of love, we would appreciate if you felt to share with us part of this cross or a cross from the work in the Church. I think that the specific cross that you must carry is that of the religious orders, you know. It's true that there are a lot of good things. That's not like 10 years ago, but still there's a lot of work to be done. I think that if the founders came back today, poor things, they would have reasons to suffer. Therefore, as I always say to our religious, we should be as the founder is in person at this time in the Church today. I think it's necessary to analyze the order itself objectively, see what is good or what is lacking. So tell Jesus, and this is part of the work of Mary, you know, say to Jesus, it's my cross, I embrace you, I want to be the one. Of course, this will have to be paid for later on, right? It must be paid because Jesus hears you and he makes you pay for others too. But we are ready, aren't we, Jen? We are ready to embrace Jesus forsaken. I would like to see all orders re-blossom, all religious families like the saints and the founders see them from heaven, from paradise, which in addition is an immense wealth, because just think about the charism of unity, a charism so rich which has invaded the world. And imagine that each of your founders had such a great charism, otherwise they wouldn't have founded anything whatsoever. Some charisms are smaller, but generally the Camellias, the Jesuits, Dominicans, they have great charisms. So if all these charisms should be revived today in virtue of the ideal that renews such a specific charism, an explosion would take place in the Church. It would be a wonderful thing. Furthermore, we need to see a charismatic church, not just a legal church, because today's world accepts little obedience in structures, yet the action of the Holy Spirit, believe me, it gets involved too. Therefore, let us love the pain of everything that lacks the perfect beauty of each religious order, like the founders would like them to be, and let us try to carry this cross. Let's do it like this. You happy? Yes. So let's have Jesus in the midst today and forever. Write to me, Jen. When you have problems, when you want to tell something, let us remain united, and may Our Lady embrace us all. Here I see many beautiful religious families, and in her heart are all of you, all of the religious orders. Goodbye for now.
Ciao, allora, ciao.
Então, agradecemos.
Thank you very much for this great moment of grace, of communion, of this experience. And Sister Marinês, Father Dionísio, thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you for this connection and for this interconnection that was made now. So where Chiara in this meditation now presents us with the cross and the charism of each congregation, so it all contributes to the whole universal church. Thank you very much for your presence, Father Dionísio and Sister Marinês. So we had so many contents, spiritual inputs. So we have something shorter now, which is a video of a song made by the Little Sisters for us. Hello, my name is Sister Matilde, a daughter of the missionary faith community. I'm part of a new community. So I met the ideal precisely through my community. I actually participated at a Gen Fest, which is a meeting for the young people of the Focolare movement, in the year 2000 in Rome, and Chiara Lubich was there. Also, the story of Chiara Luce Badano was told there. For me, that moment was very beautiful. I discovered a reality full of light. And my life changed that year because I found God, and at the same time I found the ideal. And I found my community as well, so it was a radical change because I made the choice to follow God. So my whole choice of God was accompanied by the life of the ideal. Therefore, my conversion took shape in the life of the ideal with everything that it entails. For example, learning to love the world, all its realities, to feel that everyone is a brother and a sister to me. This has influenced my consecrated life because the characteristic that I feel is most personal to me is the desire to build relationships, to keep all realities in the heart of the Church. This is the most important thing that the ideal has given me in my vocation, to feel that each one of us is a ray of God's love. Each one of us is a gift that heaven has made, that we are precious and that we can help each other. This is the most important thing for me. So it means that in daily life, the ideal helps me to start all over again, to start over with myself, in relationships, and in the smallest things of life. I have a short experience to share with you on this month's Word of Life. The Word of Life that is proposed by the Focolare movement. So it was this word, give and it will be given to you. I was in the community, and as it happens from time to time, the garbage bag was missing from the trash can. So sometimes it happens that I do put it in there, the little plastic bag, but even if it wasn't me who forgot to put it in, but I tend to do it superficially, just because it's the most obvious thing to do. However, the other day, thinking about this word of the gospel, give and it will be given to you, I did it again, but I didn't do it superficially this time. I remember putting the little plastic bag there as an act of love with all my heart, such a small act, but I tried to do it with all my heart. So nothing has really changed because I just put the little bag in the trash can, but inside me everything changed because I did it with love, and I learned this and continue to learn with the Focolare. So happy Jubilee and have a good day. So peace be with you all. My name is Father Alberto. I am a Franciscan friar. I live in Italy, and I would like to share with you what it meant for me to meet the Focolare movement and what it means for me in my consecrated life. I met the movement when I was younger. I was finishing high school then, I was not a friar then, and it was an experience that left a mark on me in my life in many ways. I tried to gather some of the many things that I could share with you. So the first thing that comes to mind is the sense of beauty of our Christian life. This is really present. I noticed this in the movement. I have always heard of the encounter with God and the Christian life as a positive thing. If I follow God, a divine adventure begins for me, for my life. Life becomes beautiful, full of surprises, full of God working in our lives, of the gospel that we can see accomplished, and hence a sense of beauty and positivity throughout the Christian life. Another thing I felt I received when I got to know the Focolari is without a doubt the search for unity that is present on many occasions. It is always present in many occasions since the beginning among the members of the movement. So I understood and experienced that in order to seek unity, it is often necessary to lose your own idea and try to find together an idea that may be less theoretically perfect than what it seemed, than what mine seemed to be, but which will ultimately build unity. Knowing how to lose your own ideals to build unity. So, another thing that I felt it was important was to talk to each other in truth. I really learned to tell others the truth, for example, when it's the time to make corrections, to do it with kindness, with love, without offending or judging, but also without omitting from the truth. So I learned this in the School of Life with the other young people, in the School of Unity, and together with other young people. So knowing how to make corrections when it's necessary, yes, but also knowing how to find the beauty of the other. So what is beautiful in the other, emphasizing the positive, to have the courage to say it. We often don't know how to see the positive, nor can we express it reciprocally. The last aspect I would like to say is this, that Chiara Lubich, in what she teaches us, has helped me to be open, making myself more concrete in the details of what it means to love. For example, loving in its multiple aspects can mean making ourselves one with the other, that's rejoicing with those who rejoice, suffer with those who suffer, listen to them. It may be listening to emptying ourselves, that is, leaving our ideas aside. Still, another aspect is to keep the contacts. When we meet someone, we can't lose them. We can't abandon people. So let's try as much as possible to keep the contacts so that everyone is connected by love. These are some of the things that I received and I would like to share with you. So greetings to you all. May God bless you and give you peace.
Vi saluto tutti, il Signore vi benedica e vi dia pace.
Eita, quanta riqueza de experiências de vida.
So now, I think there are people who would like to have a glass of water, to have a little break. But just one more thing. Do you remember that yesterday, Narinha and Mateus told you to take a glass or a cup or something? Yeah, see, I have mine here. So you can take advantage of this break now. For those who are not who don't have your cup there, you can take it and later on you'll understand why we need it. So see you shortly in 10 minutes. Bye bye.
Tá bom, até já.
say. Listen, feel the music play. The call of love for action. To change the world's direction. Feel it running in your veins. Living, make them understand. Don't be afraid to fall. If you heed the cry, the call. This is the choice I want to make. This is the road I want to take. Hand in hand together, conquering the world forever. One world, one generation. This is our destination. Love, love, love. Love, 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 our revolution. Feel the strength inside. Believe it, I'll be at your side. Soaring above the clouds. Fly with the wings of love. This is the choice I want to make. This is the road I want to take. Hand in hand together, conquering the world forever. One world, one generation. This is our destination. Love, love, love. Love, 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 our revolution. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
Então, retornamos. Estão todos bem?
So here we are back again. Are you all well? Ready to go. We have so many inputs. We have had so many nice inputs, and we have another big joy now. So we could say that as special as we have Lucas here, who is going to lead us on another dynamic. Let's go. Not so special like that, no. So it's nice to be back here. For those who weren't here yesterday, my name is Lucas. I am from the northeast of Brazil. I'm in Mariápolis de Neta. I'm a Focolarino information. And so just like yesterday, I'm bringing a new dynamic to you today. So someone is going to put the link for me there, please, in the Zoom and also in the YouTube. So I'm going to share my screen with you. The question is, what is it like to be a young consecrated person in the world today? So we'd like to see as many answers as possible from yourselves. So for those who didn't see it yesterday, it works like this. You just open the link and then you click on the little plus sign there on the side here, and then you can just put your answer in there. So we can read some of the answers. Franceli and Arthur could help me out to read some of the answers, so we can see the richness of what comes out from each one of you, from your hearts. Somebody says, it's to witness the gospel of Christ, promoting peace and unity. It's to live for others. There's so many answers coming along. It's to bring joy and holiness, or sanctity. It's to experience the goodness of God. It's to be light in the other's life. It's to carry the cross of the world. It's to be a prophet of hope. It's faithfulness to Jesus forsaken. It's to welcome everyone without distinction. It's to be a revolutionary of love. It's to be a sinner who never gives up. It's to be the messenger of Christ's love. Somebody was listening very well to Chiara's theme. It's to bring joy. To be God's presence in each place. To live in order to love each one that I meet. To be revolutionaries of love. So you can keep typing down there. There are so many beautiful answers, it would be worthwhile coming back to read everything. So we can open again the page and we can read it all. So you can see there's so many beautiful answers. It's actually a good summary of our meeting. Thank you very much, Lucas, for taking part here again, for your collaboration. I thank you for the opportunity to be together. So now, going ahead, we still have so many nice things coming up. There are so many strong experiences. So we are going to see how the charism of unity illuminates the life of so many young religious people.
É uma grande alegria poder festejar com vocês 50 anos desta caminhada dos Genré e dos seminaristas.
It's a great joy to be able to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Genré with you, of the seminarians who discovered that Chiara's charism has a particular vitality. And by the grace of God, 45 years ago, I got to know this charism that completely changed my life and the life of our seminary, since it was a contagious thing. It transformed the entire seminary, which in the past tended to have a very rigid and cold structure, so it was transformed into a living experience of the Word and the presence of Jesus amongst us that brought fertility, vocations, extraordinary graces. So I want to thank God for all that He has accomplished. 20 years ago, the Alliance of Mercy was born, and I remember very well when Chiara spoke of Jesus in our brother and sister, and our charism is really this, to be able to respond to the cry of Jesus forsaken in those who suffer, finding Christ and welcoming Him, who will in turn welcome us into heaven. I renew my unity with you. We are really happy and very grateful to God for this wonderful charism that gives life to all our charisms. A big hug to you and a blessing for each one, In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, staying connected. Already in the last stage of my life, looking back, I have to say it was a great blessing to have met Chiara Lubich in my youth. I participated in the movement, in everything that I possibly could, especially in the life of the genre, of the religious, which for me was formidable. Especially the way of living the Word. Then the grace of having Jesus in the midst, and in difficult times embracing the cross of Jesus forsaken. All of this has given my life meaning until today. So it is worth believing in unity, living with all religious, new communities and movements. Together we can reach paradise. In my youth, I had the grace of getting to know Chiara Lubich and the Focolare movement. It gave a new meaning to my life, especially when it gave me the clarity that in every neighbor I meet, in the present moment, I meet Jesus. And on that occasion, I had the opportunity to meet some young people who were actually taking drugs in a corner, and one of them asked me to help him. He said he would like to have someone who could accompany him for 24 hours. In this experience of having Jesus in the midst with this person, and then also with my parish, who was Frei Hans, we didn't imagine that from this small group, those that asked for help, we couldn't imagine that Fazenda would be born from there. Today, Fazenda da Esperança welcomes 4,000 young people in more than 150 communities spread across 24 countries. I couldn't imagine that from that small seed, this family could be born, which today gives meaning to the life of hundreds of thousands of young people. I discovered myself, so to speak, in the 50s when I was a teenager. I met the movement through my own coach, who was a communist at the time. He was converted by Chiara, and he handed me a little book by Chiara entitled The Unity. At the time, I didn't understand a lot about that book, but I discovered myself as a priest in it, and in this charism of Chiara, in a retreat that I was at the Mariápolis Center, where I met with Mary again, to whom I had consecrated myself. That was important for me. At the time, I was alone in the countryside, and I met with Mary again, Our Lady. Our charism was born there in Praça da República. It was some years that I used to visit children and teenagers there, also people who lived on the streets. And on a cold winter's night, 2 children clung to my hand, and with pleading eyes they said, "Uncle, take us with you." I wanted to take them, but to tell you the truth, I was terribly afraid to change my whole life, to change it completely. So I was in doubt. But an inner voice silenced me in a way, and it said to me, "Joseph, if it was I, would you receive me then?" Then I remembered everything that Chiara said, and also the gospel, right? One sentence that says, "Whatever you do to the least of my brothers, you did it to me." Then practically our whole institution and vocation, let's say our charism, is founded on this principle. You did it to me. That's important. Let's do everything for Jesus, dear young people. My meeting with Chiara happened in the early 80s. I was going through a very difficult existential crisis. I had even lost the meaning of life. But one day, I had a meeting with one of the young people who was part of the Focolare movement. But I didn't know at the time what that was, and he gave me a leaflet of the Word of Life. So upon entering that room, I saw bright young people who sang and talked about Chiara. Then I started to learn more about the movement. I became a pre-volunteer, then I became a volunteer in the movement, which for me is the most beautiful vocation of the work of Mary. Father José Someti was the vicar then in my parish, and we realized something different in the way he expressed himself. I realized, myself and my friends, something in his expression that was not unfamiliar to us. So we went up to him and we asked if he knew Chiara's ideal. He said yes. And soon afterwards he made a proposal that if I could be working with him. So after that period, Father José took the sabbatical year in 1987, and when he came back from Medjugorje, he returned with all this reality of living the clinic's work, leaving it behind, so as to live the evangelical work on the streets with children. So I decided to leave radically also to assist children who lived in a vulnerable situation and everyone who approached us. So that was how I met the life of the Charism of Unity and Father José Someti. I was in Our Lady of Gloria parish when Father Hans arrived, and I was amazed by the experience of the Word, the way he lived the Word so concretely. It really struck me. So one day I said, Father, what is the source of this strength, this desire to live the Word? So Father Hans spoke to me about himself and about the movement, the Focolare movement. From that moment on, I felt a desire to get to know more about the movement. At that time, there were big gatherings there in Aparecida, the Mariápolis, the Word of Life group, and the movement fascinated me. The spirituality, Jesus in the midst, Jesus forsaken, the experience of living the Word, everything was becoming clear to me. Jesus in the midst was what most fascinated me, because I really wanted to live like the apostles did, living with Jesus. So I discovered that it was possible to live like that with reciprocal love amongst us, so that Jesus is amongst us, just like he was with the apostles. I think this is what gave birth to the entire work of Mary. Then when the male recovery part of the Fazenda came to be, we also started to think about the female part. And I had very much at heart to have a companion, a person with whom I could keep Jesus in the midst and live the Word 24 hours a day. So God brought this person all the way from Sergipe, a girl called Lucy. She was 21 years old then, so that we could start this experience. Lucy also got to know the Focolare even before she arrived here. So the movement is like this. It's our spiritual foundation. We grew up with it, and today we still take part in its initiatives. So we thank God for knowing this spirituality and being able to live it today. I was born in a large Catholic family. I learned to live the Word from an early age, since my father was someone in love with the gospel, so he wanted to pass this on to his children, and so he did. Then I was always very happy with this matter of living the Word. When I was as young as 17, 18 years old, I met the Focolare movement, and it was a revolution in my life, a very big revolution. Because then it wasn't just my father talking about this matter of living the Word, but many other people and Chiara. I listened to many experiences. I started to take part in the Mariápolis, also of the Gen, and all that fascinated me. The entire concept of seeing Jesus in the other, of always starting again soon and with joy, of living with Jesus amongst us, and in difficult difficulties to embrace Jesus Forsaken. All these things fascinated me so much that inside my heart, the desire to put God in the first place was growing. That was when I asked God for an answer just after the Mariápolis entitled Being Like Mary, Living Like Mary. So these things were so fascinating that I decided there that I wanted to put God first and being like Mary, just like that. So I decided that I wanted to put God first in my life. Thus began the female fazenda, and I left my fiancé for a while, at least I thought it was for a while, and I left my family too, so I came to Guaratinguetá, and here together with the movement, with Iracy, Frei Hans, Nelson, the female part of the fazenda started off. It was a total revolution, being also close to the work of Mary, to the sources of the charism of unity here in São Paulo, which gave me this new reality to be accompanied by the Focolare. I thank Chiara very much, who gave us this life, because Chiara was following us through the Focolare. So I'm very grateful to Chiara. And I am sure that all the fruits that were born of this work were born due to the ideal. And how beautiful it is to see those who live here, who participate in the movement, those that live the charism of unity. We owe a lot to the charism. We were born from this charism. There's no way we can live here without living the charism, without putting everything into practice, every aspect. This is what moves, this is what gives meaning to the lives of the boys and the girls here, for the men and women. That's what made the work grow. That's what helps them out there, you see. The experience of the charism of unity, seeing Jesus in the other, embracing Jesus Forsaken, seeking to have the presence of Jesus amongst us. This made the work grow and bear so much fruit. During the summer, I was already a seminarian. I used to work at a hospital run by the Chameleons near Venice, near the sea. Inside that hospital were several seminarians, and one afternoon just after work, one of them invited me to meet other seminarians to share a little bit about our life. So I remember we went to the beach, and one of them arrived with a towel, he put it on the sand, and each one had brought something, a sandwich, a piece of cheese, a fruit, and they put it all in common there. Then one of them made a gesture that really touched me. He took his wallet and gave it to the other seminarian and said, "Look, there is an ice cream parlor there. Go and buy an ice cream." This gesture impressed me because I would never have given my wallet to someone else with all that freedom. So there was such a beautiful atmosphere of communion. Today we would say an atmosphere of unity, that I started talking and telling them about my whole life, my challenges, my dreams. And I remember after strolling around a little, already at sunset on the beach, one of them said, "Yes, Pedro, you're right, but the important thing is to choose God. Is to choose God." That sentence kept lingering around in my head. Did I really choose God? I was sure that I had chosen something from God, a thing from God, the priesthood, which is a God's thing, but it's not God. God is more. And that's how I met this little group. Later, and I discovered that they were the new generation of men and women religious who get nourishment from the spirituality of unity, which is nothing but the gospel for these new times, whose inspiration was Chiara. Then I remember that I went back to the seminary with a gear up, with more fervor, with my vocation more fruitful, and more strengthened, with my vocation strengthened. There at the seminary, there were other colleagues who lived that same spirituality. We lived the Word, We did several acts of love. We told our experiences, sharing them. So that gave a new sense, until later on when I discovered that this choice of God was the choice of Jesus in the most important moment of his life. At the moment when he was crucified and when he shouted out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" What Chiara calls the abandoned Jesus, the key to unity with God and with our brothers and sisters. Then I discovered an apostle of unity, creating, searching, embracing Jesus forsaken, creating community, communion, fraternal dialogue in the world where God places us. I think that our founders, in our case Bishop Angelo Ramazzotti, a servant of God who is in heaven with two great popes who inspired Pime, Pius IX and then Pius XI. There in heaven they are already living this communion of charisms, the communion of the mystical body, the communion of saints. Because God is communion, God is Trinity, unity. So I believe that looking down to me, looking down on us, they can only be happy, because we are doing in a certain way what Jesus says in the Our Father when he says, "So on earth as it is in heaven."
Muito legal, realmente muito concreto.
So many wonderful experiences, isn't that right?
Ilumina, né?
Very concrete as well. And how the Focolare movement gives life and light, and the seed always blossoms where it lands. So, Franceli, what do you want to say? Yeah, that's right, Arthur. This light of the movement becomes concrete in daily life. The word is really incarnate. So there in the chat of the movement of the YouTube, it says, for example, the young person consecrated is the certainty that Jesus forsaken continues to be loved. And this person illuminates everyone with the light of the charisms. Isn't that beautiful? So in this interaction, now we have the grace to bring amongst us the presence of Jesus Moran, who is the co-president of the movement together with Emmaus. He was also the general counselor and charged with the formation in the Focolare. So, a special greeting to you, Jesus.
Agora sim, Jesus, uma saudação especial a você.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well? I was a little bit distracted now because I just received a message from Emmaus. A good night message, but also to say that she is here with us. So for us it's 10 o'clock at night here, and it's cold. The weather has changed dramatically. After a very warm summer, the cold has arrived all of a sudden. But you have transmitted such a warmth with this Congress here now. And I know so many people there who have been present there. And for me, those people are, like to say, holy people, saints, because they tend towards sanctity. We tend towards the sanctity that Chiara has brought to us. I am not in Rome at the moment. I am in a house at 100 kilometers more or less from Rome, because I need to finish a book that I'm writing for New City magazine in Spain, Ciudad Nueva. So it will gather my experiences, my own experiences in this book from the month of April until now. So it's the pandemic period. And just this afternoon I have written the last page of the book, and then I should send it over to them. So I was really thinking of all of you in this meeting, so beautiful, where you can say that we are connected into the one light. And it's so true. I was finishing this book and asking myself and asking those who will be reading it, why are we not happy? Why today's men and women are not happy? Because exactly nowadays we are living such a crisis. We are not finding the way forward to happiness. So what is missing here? So basically I was thinking of this main reason that gathers you and gathers us all. You who are part of the new generation of the Focolare. So I think what is missing is light. If you think of Chiara, at another interview some time ago, she said, I gave light. What did I do in my life? I gave light. The charism of unity is a charism of light. It's claritas. And if people, modern men and women of today, if they don't find Christ, they don't find the light. They can't find the way, love. The only thing that makes us totally happy, it's unity, which is what Chiara brought to us at this time, and that comes straight from the gospel, because she takes it from Jesus' message. So it was very strong for me, so much so that I finished my book asking this very question. I was even a little bit moved. I was really, because I was touched by this light. And like so many others, like so many of you who witnessed there. So everyone is realizing that today it's not possible to resolve things without the perspective of unity. We need to be more united in the church and in society. In church and in society, we need a vision, a global vision for the great problems of society. Because also all the problems of the church, they are problems of unity. We need a new generation that is really you, and the gens, the parish movement, the Gen 2, a generation that can bring unity, which is what the church and society most need. And this is what Pope Francis is asking so much when he talks about mercy. The church that's going out of herself, the church of meeting. So he is begging for this unity. The Pope is so alone. He is not finding this unity. We can see that every day. So here we can find and we can see how great the gift of the charism is. That Chiara gave us this gift of the charism to put together all the charisms at the service of the ideal of Jesus. May they all be one. And that together, men and women all together, we may be united even before the very fact of being men and women, even before our participation as human beings. Before everything else, we should be united, because we are all brothers and sisters of the same Father, children of the same Father. So Chiara brings humanity, takes humanity to the way of getting to know itself. And in this moment of humanity crisis, the charism of Chiara is so current. I see it as the most current thing that we have. Because with the pandemic situation, we are actually living as if it was a war situation. And the ideal is born as if it was born just for now, just for this moment. So many that have underlined before myself that unity is not possible without Jesus forsaken. This is the second very important discovery of Chiara.
Oggi bisogna guardare il mondo dalla pupilla dell'occhio di Dio che Gesù ha abbandonato.
Today we need people who can take care of the world, that can make themselves one with others. And these people are those who are in love with Jesus forsaken, because the world is a great Jesus forsaken. Jesus has already taken on himself everything. He has already paid for everything. But we need to incarnate unity and complete his work in us. So, in this we have all the charisms, because each one contributes in a particular way. They are all necessary, and they are specific but also contribute towards the one unity. So thank you very much. I really feel like I should thank you for your donation, your availability to God, because you being the new generation, new gens, priest generation, Gen 2, Youth for a United World, you are the future. I mean, you are not the future, you are the present. So you have taken the flag, and now ahead together. You were even more enthusiastic than ourselves, because we need this vision that corresponds to the expectancies of today. So humanity has gone forward. There is more awareness of the need for unity. And this is exactly why you need to be very well formed, because you'll be protagonists of the future, or better yet, you are already. You are at the level of what the world is expecting you to be. So basically, congratulations and thank you. I also should say that I was so happy to see Felipe now, because Felipe wrote to me. I was in Brazil, you see, almost a year ago, and I really fell in love with that nation. Because if there is a nation that has the vocation for unity, it's Brazil. It's so varied and with so much passion. It's a beautiful people. So since I went there, I already started to feel nostalgic. So therefore, I can't wait to go back there. The country is made for unity because of its diversity, because of its problems and all the countenances of Jesus Forsaken. You are the vine of Jesus Forsaken. So you will build a new Brazil. Thank you very much and congratulations.
E tanti auguri.
Ciao. Ciao.
Grazie, Jesus. Ciao.
Nós agradecemos
Thank you very much for your words, Jesus, that came to move us. We were moved now by these words. And we can see in the chat so many comments and amongst us. So the Jesus Forsaken that we embrace in the community, or like we religious and future religious people, we can see how much we can be this gift, and we are already a gift. So thank you very much. It really struck us deeply now. Thank you so much, Jesus. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.
Muito obrigado também, Jesus.
E saluti da Emmaus.
And greetings from Emmaus
Con tutto il cuore.
with all her heart.
Bene.
De nós todos.
From all of us too.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Abraço, Jesus. Grande abraço.
Thank you. A big hug, Jesus.
A presto, spero di poter tornare
See you
presto.
soon. I really hope to go back there soon.
Logo.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, até mais.
Muito bom.
Very good.
Então, com tudo
Arthur,
isso, a gente ainda tem emoção pra
with all of that, and we still have some emotions
Tem
left
muita coisa. Ainda tem
to
coisa pela
experience.
frente.
We still have some things ahead,
Seguindo o programa,
following our
esse
program,
coração cheio
with
dessas
our hearts
palavras, cheio
full
de
of these
entusiasmo.
words and full of enthusiasm, as we heard the charism of unity. It's not only for the religious, but also, of course, for the young people in general.
Né? Mas
So
também os jovens têm algumas
we are going to watch a video where the young people tell us about what it means living the ideal for them.
Before knowing the spirit of unity and brotherhood of the Focolare movement, I was a young person with many dreams to be a great religious in my life, intelligent, hardworking, with great studies in order to win men's hearts and transform men's souls for Jesus. Being young, like any other young people, I had in my mentality that studying hard and serving the people was the only way of bringing men's souls to Jesus. This serving the people was the highest way of my way of thinking. In a young age, I was a teacher and a catechist, busy in my group work with so many groups in the church, always tired by the end of the day to serve the people, to change many world within me. All these were dreams I had for spending all my life for my call in future. In these dreams, I was known as a young holy person, but I had no time for anybody. While I was in Kenya, in our capital city, teaching, in contact with the young generation of the movement of the Focolare, living the spirit of unity and brotherhood with the different dreams, different from that one which I had in mind, ready to give life for God with the spirit of unity, and they had a golden rule which says, do to others what you could like others to do for you. Also putting in practice the Word of God. This was very new for me. Staying and living with them, I came to discover that this way of life, they gave me a different dimension of serving God, putting in practice the gospel, knowing that this spirit of unity could give me more joy in my life. In the community life, in the vocationist community life, and as a religious person, things changed since whatever I did, even now, I felt really I'm doing for Jesus. In all the activities I do during the day, I felt it's serving Jesus. Cleaning the house, I clean for Jesus, like Jesus. Making my bed, I make like as if it's another Jesus. Meeting other people, it was easy because I know I'm serving Jesus in others. This dimension gave me really the joy by doing everything, knowing that all is to love Jesus in others. Whatever or without making different of classes, people, whether they are rich, they are poor, they are intelligent, not intelligent, or they were the same.
Hola a todos, soy hermana Vanessa Bravo.
Hello everyone, I'm Sister Vanessa Bravo from the community of Franciscan Missionary Sisters of Youth, a community which was born in Ecuador. The encounter with the Charism of Unity was a whole process. First, I observed my founder and my sisters in that loving capacity which made them give their lives so freely and to forgive. Later, I went to Italy to take part in the School for the Religious in Lopiano. It was there that I went into depth with the spirituality, and I understood the beauty of the Church in the communion of charisms. With the Focolarine and my sisters from other institutions, I read the Constitution and statutes of my wider community, and I learned and understood that fellowship allows to recognize the beauty and the capacity of love that God has for humanity. What did the school do to me? It changed my life. First, it gave me the ability to be more church, to contribute and to be part of this unity, to live this evangelical phrase, may they all be one, so that the world may believe. I cannot be left out. My charism cannot be left out because I can hold my charism in that unity. I can be part of this fraternity of charisms, that love that gives yourself to others. To love the other charisms as if they were mine, and that others love my charism as if it was theirs. That is reciprocal charity. Also, my ability to live fraternity from my own Franciscan spirituality. Francis of Assisi told me and told us that the only rule of the friars is to live the Holy Gospel. And when I live the Gospel, I must bear witness of this communion. I cannot be left out. For me, the communion of charisms is communion. It's walking together. It is living and being communion, to be able to embrace humanity, wounded, beaten, in need of this testimony of our current consecrated and religious life. The African proverb says, if you want to walk fast, just walk alone, but if you want to go far, walk in communion. So making an option for the communion of charisms means giving a yes to the Lord, yes to contributing with the Church of the gospel with unity, and be signs, be visible in the world, embracing all that the Lord has entrusted to us. So I invite you to be part of this communion and to live this great ideal together. See how far Chiara Lubick went, and she was looking far ahead, so we can do the same. A big hug to everyone. Well, my encounter with the Charism of Unity took place at the beginning of 2017 in January. Upon entering this community of Our Lady Queen of Peace, to which I belong and where I'm making my way to priesthood, well, in the first week there, we took part in a meeting of the religious of the Flame of the Charism of Unity, and on the first day, on Monday, a video of Chiara was shown to us. It was a talk that she gave to seminarians about the love of God. It was very deep. The impetuous way in which the Holy Spirit spoke through that lady captivated me. It made me fall in love, as to say. And as the Gospel says, heaven belongs to the violent. Well, the way in which she spoke was very impressive. I have the immense grace that our founder, Father Joseph, has approached and embraced this charism too. This year, 2020, I had a very deep experience with a group of religious, the Genre. In the beginning of the year, we had a meeting which we have annually, and in that house where we went, we had such an experience of being just like a small focolare. In fact, the days we spent together, the people who came to be with us, the meetings we had, everything made it very special. Well, I don't really think I had lived an experience like this before in the church. It changed my life as well as my priestly pathway. I'm very grateful to Chiara, who is in the Father's arm, and to all the Focolarini who present the flame of the charism to us and keep it alive. Thank you. So thank you again for all those beautiful experiences. Thank you to everyone who has put themselves forward in this adventure of unity. That's right, Arthur. These experiences, this life, can also help us to commit ourselves even more, to commit ourselves to the proposal of Jesus. So let's give continuation in this connection with more people that are coming to talk to us. Father Salvo and Sister Tiziana, are you here? Excellent, we are here. So it's with you. Here we are. Father Salvo, are you there? Yes, I'm here. So thank you very much for this opportunity that we are building together. So we were asked, Tiziana and myself, we were asked to talk about our experience here in Rome and worldwide. So you have asked us about our experience of communion between charisms at a worldwide level. So of the experience of communion between people who let themselves be inspired and guided both by the charism of the religious family to which they belong and the charism that unites us, the charism of unity that is embodied in the Focolare movement. So what can we say? Just a few to share with you. So I remember that I was in Avila at a certain point in the church that was built actually on the birthplace of Teresa. And in this little chapel there were some pictures. Actually, they still exist. It's where you can see Teresa with the Franciscans, with the Jesuits, with Dominicans. And I was very struck by that because it was an expression of that communion that has always been and will always exist amongst the charisms. Because each one makes it available, their charism that the Holy Spirit gave them for the good of all. So this communion is expressed in many ways, especially to help one another, like, for example, to help people in spiritual direction, to provide concrete resources, to organize spiritual exercises and retreats, to provide or to facilitate other institutes to start to facilitate other institutes to start their presence in some nation, as it happened with my institute in Indonesia, which welcomed members of a congregation that started there for a period of time, or even when, for example, now with the pandemic time, some institutions have problems with their finances, so it's the time to help them. These experiences of communion are all well summarized in a document of the Congregation for Consecrated by the Holy See entitled Starting from Christ or Departing from Christ, where we read, so I'm going to read a sentence there, because that's the church that really feels this communion. So it says, the communion that consecrated people are called to live goes far beyond the religious family itself or its institute. Opening themselves to communion with other institutes and other forms of consecration, they can expand their communion. They can rediscover common evangelical roots, and at the same time understand with more clarity the beauty of one's identity in the charismatic variety, like branches of the same vine. They must compete in mutual esteem to achieve the best charism, charity.
Dovrebbero gareggiare nella stima vicendevole per raggiungere il carisma migliore, che è la carità. Ecco, è anche Chiara, chi meglio di lei, no? Che è il carisma dell'unità, ha vissuto questa esperienza. E lei ha scritto una volta, ogni tanto,
also Chiara, who better than her, since she had the charism of unity, she had this experience, and we often quote what she said about it. Sometimes through a person or a book, says Chiara, through one of their texts, God makes us meet a saint. Gradually it seems that the saints approached our work to encourage it, to enlighten it, help it. If, on the one hand, we are aware that the charism of our movement is useful for the whole church, on the other hand, we are also convinced that all the charisms are useful for us, children of the church. It is typical for our spirituality to learn from the saints, making ourselves their children, participating in their charisms. So I think these are beautiful words, and it summarizes what we are living these days. Another time, Chiara said, God loves each order because it reminds him of his own Son, the humanized idea of himself. The gospel preached by Jesus was the good news, the love announced. In 20 centuries, this love has materialized in a sense in his church that continues the incarnation, and therefore has Christ as its head, repeats the incarnation, and has Christ as its spouse. If we want to serve the church, we too must continue to preach love, but above all to put it into practice, make it circulate in the various religious orders. So I'm giving the word to Tiziana now, who has a particular experience. So thank you very much. I'm very happy to be sharing this moment with you. I don't know, it's a special moment and it's very deep. It's like an explosion of a resurrection with that luminosity. So it's really a splendid moment. So thank you for involving us in this moment of splendid light. So I'm going to tell you some short experience. We could tell you of so many strong moments that we have lived. In this period that I am actually co-responsible there at the center. So the religious youth who found this ideal, who found these words 50 years ago, understood that the communion should be, if possible, even more profound. They needed to build a communion that was strong between them, to really make their story with God, with their own experience, and to share the fruits of the word lived, to share the light that comes from the difficulties as well experienced there. So the meetings between the people of different charisms were born, as we just heard. They met together naturally with the permission of their superiors. So they were young religious who were committed to living the commandment of Jesus, mutual love. They were all disciples of the same master, and the fruit was that each one felt more confirmed in their own vocation, in their own charism, because Jesus promised, "Give, and it will be given to you." So give your life, give your charism, and it will be restored back to you, even enriched in a greater light, enriched by the communion of all. So that was 50 years ago. But the idea of collaboration and mutual help spread throughout the church, both in ecclesial documents as in the practice of some congregations. Well, we'll tell you some experiences. We could tell so many others, but here are some more recent ones. Like in February, for example, a recent experience, exactly during the pandemic time, we were getting ready to celebrate Chiara's centenary, and we had a meeting in February, actually. We received 400 Catholics and 4 Orthodox participants. So we brought together the life and unity of 100 charismatic families from 33 countries, 12 languages with simultaneous translation, 50 committed lay people showed the path of religious and lay people who belonged to different charismatic families, but that live the spirituality of unity. So, different spiritual families, but all called to unity, and who already live this spirituality of communion. Each one was a co-responsible of irradiation and communion. So they came to bring the beauty of their lives, and they went back to irradiate this life there where they came from. So another experience was in August, an experience of unity that gave us hope despite the pandemic. It was the Gen Re meeting in northern Italy, and it was presential, a true act of faith and courage in COVID times. So it was very striking. We had despite the pandemic. You, our young people, let's say yourselves, like you would yourself, but these 12 young people, they managed to come. So we had 12 young men and women, religious, from 10 religious families from 5 countries. So we were all so different. They were from China, Myanmar, Italy, Kenya, and Brazil. Here is an impression of somebody there. We are all different here, but there was no obstacle to communion. Father Fabio, Father Salvo, and Tiziana traveled kilometers to meet that small group. This makes us understand the greatness of this meeting and how much love there is for this reality. At the same time, the spiritual exercises were carried out via Zoom, with 223 points connected with Casa Emos in Lopiano. It's the spiritual house there for consecrated people. So there were 29 nations and 6 languages in this meeting, corresponding to an even greater number of consecrated and focolarinas present. Since in each connection there were sometimes whole communities, monasteries, Celtic Orthodox nuns, and various congregations gathered in various focolaries. The connection lasted 2 hours and started with a moment of prayer that plunged everyone into a deep withdrawal. And the theme was deepened, and we were left with a concrete spiritual exercise to be put into practice in offline hours. The fruits were communicated the next day. And here's another impression of a General Mother. She says, "We have concluded a great experience. Unity among all was strengthened, and we saw the great strength that there is in the world." So these are just some short experiences that made us touch by hand the unity, communion. They make us really thank God and for this light that Chiara gave us. That is a great light in our life, which involves us not only spiritually, but of course also humanly. That involves us entirely, our life and all of us. So, courage. And we live this together for unity, everyone in the same light.
Grazie, di cuore.
Obrigado a vocês.
Thank you very much, Father Salvio and Tiziana, for your words. Your words really fill us with enthusiasm. You being the international responsible of the religious. So we are going to cross the finish line. We have passed a little bit of the time scheduled, but we would like to thank you all, especially all those who took part, the translation team that worked hard to help us, so that this meeting could arrive everywhere. Thank you for the team that worked in the organization. So, thank you everyone. Am I forgetting someone, Franceli? Thank you. So, we thank all the technical equipe, the technical team. We know that this celebration is going to make it concrete with the presence of each one that is available to be with us and who was available to be with us in these 2 afternoons, so that we are not going to lose this connection that is already established. We have some contacts that we would like to share with you. So in this way, we can continue to be in touch. Here is the contact of Genré with Felipe, Ellen. There is the telephone number, the email address, and the page of the Genré in Instagram. There is the Genré International, Father Donato, Sister Francisca,
e também a irmã Francesca.
Temos também os contatos.
Then there's the contact of the Youth for a United World, Mateus, Vitória. There is their phone number, email address. If you can take a print of the screen, that would be good. So you can save this page. Maybe the technical team could put these contacts in the chat as well, if it was possible. So there's the social networks. And the gens, the priestly generation.
Aí os contatos e o e-mail e o Instagram deles.
Okay, did you manage there?
Também aí
and the parish movement.
Ariane e eu, aí meu contato, o e-mail e também outras formas de entrar em contato.
And there's other forms to get in touch with us. You see there the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. And the Gen movement.
Aí também temos do movimento Gen.
Marinha, that was presenting yesterday.
E André, Veríssimo. E também as outras.
So you can also contact them via email and the social networks.
Pronto.
That's it.
Aí continuemos aqui, não pode
So
sair.
don't go away, please.
Ainda, porque
because now it's the moment that we are going to make a big celebration. To celebrate together. Now you will be able to understand the dynamic of the glass that we asked you to have. So how is this going to be? Yeah, that's right. Everybody take their glass, their cup, something. So, in order for us to be organized, we are going to do like this. So, take your cup, take your glass, whatever. And we are going to count down 10 to 0. And then we raise our glass and toast collectively. In the moment when we raise our glass, we can shout out connected into the one light. In your own language, okay? So you can speak in your language. And of course, you can open then your microphones.
Isso mesmo.
Okay, put your cameras on, your microphone on. And let's count down. Let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Conectados numa só luz.
Chile.
Grazie a tutti.
Grazie del
Mica, pace bene.
Bellissimo.
Conectados numa só luz. Tiana, grazie. Buonissima luce. Sergio,
Ciao Luca, grazie.
Ay, Padita. Ciao Ives, queridísimo, un abrazo mega.
Pues sí, una alegría verte.
Grazie.
Igualmente a ti, que bien, una ocasión única.
Pero qué lindo verte, Rapari.
Ciao Nicri, grazie.
Cristina.
Ciao Feliciana.
Ciao. Ciao Eloy, ciao. Cristina, ciao.
Francesca, ciao, Francesca.
Felicidades.
Ellen, grazie per tutto. Grazie.
A te Inês, grazie a te.
Tutte e due, sempre